Welcome to the ongoing commentary track for C for Chaos, the web series. Here we are at episode 12, A Talk in the Dark. This is your writer, director, producer, JT McRoberts, and your guide for this ongoing journey in what we call C for Chaos. Here we see this great opening sequence with the narration provided by Martin Bowes of Attrition, fantastic musician based out of the UK. You can visit his website at attrition.co.uk. Their music is absolutely fantastic, kind of industrial metal sound. More to it than that. But anyway, let's talk C for Chaos, the web series. The web series started as a film, and the catalyst for that was the owner of the local comic book shop, Rick Davis, telling me that we could film in his comic shop anytime. So in true Roger Corman fashion, anytime that you have a location drop into your lap, you go and write a script for it, and that's what I did with C for Chaos. Now, at this point in the story, we've had several murders from the Numbers Killer, or several murders attributed to this enigmatic figure known as the Numbers Killer. Nobody quite knows what's going on. The guys working and hanging out at the comic book shop, Art, Kilroy, and Jimmy, have taken interest in it because they're geeks like us that are fascinated by weird things. And each one starts seeing different things in it. Kilroy starts identifying conspiracy theories that he thinks are going on it. You know, Art's attention was caught because one of the locations was actually close to the comic book shop. One of the locations of the murders was close to the comic book shop. And then, of course, one of their friends, Bianca, gets killed in the earlier episode. This sequence was interesting, I thought, because I was trying to set up the classic slasher film trope of the question of the identity of the Numbers Killer. In a lot of those old classic slasher films from the 80s, there was a constant trope of who was the killer, which is very much a ripoff from, I suppose, from the giallo genre out of Italy, where they always had the black glove killer running around that was somehow tied into the story. Now in giallo, it usually actually made no sense whatsoever as to who the killer was. It was kind of a Scooby-Doo sort of way, like, oh my gosh, it was the police chief all along killing everybody. Who knew? So we sewed those threads into C for Chaos here, where you start asking questions and suspecting each one of our lead heroes in turn. Here Jimmy's making fun of Kilroy by saying, don't say parole, insinuating that Kilroy has been in jail before and has been out on parole. And here's Kilroy rattling off more of his conspiracy theories, which, if you've ever known one of these types of individuals that are really buried in their own world of conspiracies, they see shadows and plots in everything. So that's the kind of character that Kilroy was. There's a lot of vulgarity in this series because I just wanted to write these characters the way I thought they would really talk. I wasn't concerned about language or offending anyone, and I didn't want it to pander to any specific audience. I just thought, hey, we're gonna show guys hanging out at comic book shops. Usually they talk in pretty nutty ways. So here we see the MacGuffin of C for Chaos, and Jimmy seems drawn to it, entranced almost. The MacGuffin of this strange box, which was a fantastic prop that I bought from an eBay vendor named Zorano, who actually specializes in making these types of not necessarily gothic horror, but kind of Lovecraftian type props. Very, very occult. He made a lot of scrolls and weapons and other little props like that, and I asked him, if he had anything along the lines of a box, and this is what he came up with for us. And here they're trying to open it, and it won't open. Now that line, it must be rusty shut. You have to remember the script was actually written before the prop ever existed. So it was like, okay, you write this into the script. Now you have to make it really happen. And when we see it, it's obvious that it's not rusted. But yeah, we just attribute that to Jimmy being not very particularly clever. So, but Art as well seems to feel the call to it and is entranced in a way by the item. But this was, if you go all the way back to the first few episodes, the Wicker Man character, played by Phil Kirby, was bringing an item to trade with Rick, and this is the box that we see. We finally see the MacGuffin revealed. And here's Kilroy throwing the blame over towards Jimmy again. Now here's Jimmy actually speaking sense, and he's talking about some of the facts of the actual murder, how the killer appeared and disappeared. And here we see the return of Emma, played by Adriana Munoz, a lovely young ingenue. This was her first acting role, and she did really well considering she had no experience whatsoever. She came in, she knew her lines, she tried hard, she persevered on through many long, arduous nights filming on the set, and she did really well to be an individual that didn't want to really pursue acting or continue acting in any form or fashion after this series. I think we probably used up her acting bug, whatever she had in her, where she didn't want anything else to do with it. But there you see mention of Booger Holler Cemetery. That was a little bit larger subplot in the original idea behind the script, but it got kind of pared down as writing went on. Mind you, I had to write the script for almost 2.5 years, because even when I finished it, we had changes due to actors dropping in or out of the project, and I had to just change around the whole end of the series and rewrite it again. So it was just kind of a never-ending process. But here we see the subtext of the attraction between Art and Emma, even though Art has been spending most of his time chasing his ex around, Bella. So it's one of those things where you just want to reach out to Art and go, Art, quit thinking about Bella and go after Emma. What the heck's wrong with you? So there we are. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take it away, Mutant.
Expressions of Chaos t-shirt over at